You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simeon Rusnak. I'm sure you've heard that old proverb, necessity is the mother of invention. It is one that most certainly applies to Winnipeg's vocal group Camerata. They are an ensemble constantly reinventing, reimagining, and reinterpreting what it means to be a choir in the 21st century. They have taken their adventurous attitude online with their take on not Monteverdi or Mozart, but Maiden. Yes, Iron Maiden. And to tell us more about it, we've reached Andrew Balfour, Mel Braun, and Roland Deschambault from Camerata. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello, hello, hello.
Well, so good to see you all digitally. Andrew, I'd like to begin with you. When did you first start listening to Iron Maiden?
Oh, back, I'm kind of aging myself, but back in the 80s, Winnipeg was actually kind of a hotspot for the metal bands. Every year, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, AC/DC, Motorhead, they'd always stop at the old Winnipeg Arena. And I spent most of my allowance back in those days, every 2 weeks, buying albums. So I was a big Judas Priest, Iron Maiden fan. So I just, and for some reason, I still love that music. So, back in the 80s, it's kind of one of the things to rebel against. I also listened to Beethoven and Mozart and Bach, but
Right.
Much to my parents' chagrin, I was blasting that stuff up in my room pretty much all the time.
Well, you can't listen to it quietly. I guess kind of curiously, what got you thinking about Maiden more recently, and more specifically having Camerata Nova, the ensemble of which you're artistic director, perform a choral arrangement of Run to the Hills?
Well, back in the early days of the pandemic, I was in Toronto, and it was pretty serious in terms of we were in a one-bedroom apartment, kind of in lockdown mode, and we also realized Camerata Nova was on hold for like so many other choirs and organizations. So we kind of just decided we wanted to do something unique online, and I mentioned to Roland about this Iron Maiden idea, and he loved it. So we took it from there, and Mel and I did the arrangement, and I did the tracks in Toronto, and they did the tracks in Winnipeg. So it was a lot of fun.
So before we get to the actual arrangement, I do want to ask you about, the present age of not only the pandemic, but social discourse that's going on, the renewed calls to end systemic racism and violence towards Black, Indigenous, and persons of color. Can you remind listeners of the lyrics to the song in case they haven't listened to Iron Maiden in a little while?
Well, it's kind of funny how these 5 English white rockers ended up coming up with a song about the harsh realities of colonialism. The opening line is, "White man came across the sea. He brought us pain and misery." So it's quite the statement, actually. And
Singing from the Indigenous person's point of view.
Yes. So to me, it's really like I think it had a lot to do with the times we're in right now, even though it was tongue in cheek, but it does actually have some relevance to what we're seeing right now globally. So we've always been unafraid to say things that are kind of, important for Indigenous and minorities in our country. So it was both fun, but also poignant, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we heard Roland there just jump in briefly. Yeah, told from 2 perspectives in the song. There's first the Indigenous one, and then the view of the white settlers. Roland, what was your reaction when you guys started to put this thing together?
When Andrew and I first met, I guess going on over 2 years ago now, I think we probably bonded on our love of metal.
Brings people together.
Yeah, it does. Obviously all of us listen to all kinds of music and appreciate everything. But the era that we both came up in music, I think there's, that really imprints on you, and we were able to have that common sort of ground and then build from there. So when doing a cover of Iron Maiden, like a choral arrangement of an Iron Maiden song came up, I was all in.
It is funny you mentioned your passion for metal, and one thing I think that we can draw a parallel between is both with metalheads and with classical fans. They are extremely passionate about genres of music, their genre of music, and I think that passion comes through in this particular rendition. Mel, I want to bring you into the conversation. Bruce Dickinson's voice, noted for being particularly operatic, but Iron Maiden isn't exactly your usual choral fodder. Tell us about how you went about putting this one together.
Well, just a quick side note. I think if you mentioned earlier, Andrew did Judas Priest and, of course, Iron Maiden. Those are 2 of the longest standing, incredible vocalists in music. how those guys did it, them and Robert Plant, like they're still singing. Well, they're not all around anymore, but still, they sang. So something visceral was working there. For myself, I mean, I have to tell you, I don't listen to much classical music when I'm not teaching classical music. It's usually roots music, it's other stuff, or rock and roll, or early stuff. And so for me, this was great. This is like reconnecting with a much earlier time. Okay, my thing was always the Allman Brothers, but that, whatever. Still another great singer there. So being able to put this together and add in elements. So how are you going to make a choral group sound metal, right? So for us, then, the way to do it, using Andrew's four-part choral arrangement, was then to add in all the Georgian elements, the Georgian choral elements that we exploited or explored recently in the New Music Festival, because we did a bunch of stuff there. And this is crazy good music with all kinds of rhythmic vitality and energy. And we have the fortune in our bass section of having a Matthew Knight there, who has a doctorate in Georgian choral music. So putting all these things together into this stew that we created, and using unusual instruments like a Georgian panduri, which is a 3-string guitar, bizarre little instrument, really cool, and boom whackers and bells. And then in my case, I came up with some wolf calls to make the whole thing work. This was all just part of the usual Camerata fodder of putting some kind of twist on it that would make it ours while honoring the original intent.
Well, twist it, you guys did. I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to say, is that what struck me about this rendition of Run to the Hills was, I mean, of course, Andrew's singing on the lead vocals sounded great, but the textures that you guys created, I mean, no, there isn't a face-melting guitar solo, but there is that Georgian guitar, and no cymbal crashes, but the wolf calls. Roland, we saw all of this come together in a video production, something that you put together. Tell us a little bit about cutting this music video, if you will.
Well, I certainly can't take credit for cutting it and doing it myself. I did it with my brother, and I did it. I shot all the video and pieced all the stuff together. But I think the beauty of it is in the recording, and getting having people sing more classically based or sing classical music, recording in this way, the way that we did it. You go in, you sing your part by yourself. That I thought might be the challenge, but it wasn't at all. It just went so fast. Everyone is just such a pro, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But getting the visuals, I think, was just trying to experiment with like a behind the scenes of a recording. You know, that was the idea of the video itself, was just every shot we got was sort of the technical aspects of it, the headphones and the microphone and the process, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to add really quick with the wolf calls. We're starting to get tribute videos of Mel's wolf calls. It's unbelievable. So just getting videos of kids doing Mel's wolf call and singing the Andrew or Bruce Dickinson part. It's connecting on a certain level, which is really nice. And I through speaking to you, it's great that we get a chance to expand the reach of that recording, and hopefully everyone's doing the wolf calls by the end of the year, or it's a staple in music.
Yeah, you gotta make sure to use those kegels, Mel. I feel like all my voice lessons are coming back in a new.
There you go, man. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you all so much for putting this thing together. It's a ton of fun. But the last thing I want to ask you, and I guess Andrew, we'll circle back to you. In all that I've read, choral singing doesn't sound like it's going to be returning to normal anytime soon. So the new normal, these digital concerts, Camerata Nova already delaying the start of the upcoming season to the new year. What can audiences expect in the interim from the ensemble?
Well, as Roland and Mel just said, we're recording a whole bunch of new ones, early music pieces this week. So I think that, you know, it's up to the choirs and choristers right now. I mean, it's so tough. We want to sing together. That's what we do. But, you know, thankfully with the technology we have now, we can do things that are very, very unique. And I think we'll reach a whole new level and a new demographic of people that, you know, would love to listen to choral music. So we'll never stop, you know, doing early music. but we really have a lot of stuff on our plate that we can do for the next couple of months. And but we want to get back to singing together. That's what we do. But right now, I think you're going to be seeing some very unique and inventive things from Camerata, because we have the people. We have Roland and Phil. We have Mel and Vic Pancrez and John Weens, who are conductors that really have great ideas. So, and we've never been busier. I've never been busier. Roland's like, it's summer, and usually I'm at the lake, fishing, camping. I've just been so busy, and I know Roland and Mel have too. So, it really has its challenges, but I think that your listeners and Winnipeg audiences will see that we're still pretty busy, and we have still things to sing. So, it's very exciting.
Well, I'm very excited to see how this all comes together, and excited to see what's next. And of course, we have to hear it. Here it is, Camerata Nova performing Run to the Hills.